Borwornsak Uwanno of the Law Reform Committee says why the regime concentrates on the election instead of promised reforms. File photo. Borwornsak Uwanno, chairman of the Law Reform Committee, said Sunday he is exhausted as he looks into the government's much-hyped national reform plans which have made slow progress over the past 4 years. His disappointment, which is also shared by political activists and university scholars, reflects widespread doubts over how the plans will be turned into action. The former Constitution Drafting Committee chairman was commenting ahead of the 4th anniversary of the May 22 coup, which toppled the Futai party-led government in 2014. The coup followed street protests across the capital city, led by former Democrat heavyweight sasy. Demonstrators pinned hope on national reform to replace what they said was corrupt Thai politics. "I feel exhausted," Mr. Borwornsak told the event. "I simply have no idea how the national reform will end." After the coup, the military-engineered government set up the National Reform Council (NRC), which initiated 37 reform proposals concerning politics, the economy, public health and morality. The NRC was later replaced by the National Reform Steering Assembly, which carried on the work until its termination last year when laws on reform took effect. Then, a new panel, the so-called National Reform Committee, was appointed to make sure the reform law was well enforced. The Law Reform Committee is part of that reform committee. Mr. Borwornsak's Law Reform Committee also drafted a bill, with aims to terminate any laws which are still waiting to be enforced after 2 years. The bill also called for a penalty for officials who obstruct law reform. However, he is not confident all proposals will lead to big changes. Uncertainty after a general election next year is another concern. Mr. Borwornsak said he cannot tell which party will lead the next government. If the new Prime Minister is not Jen Prayut-Chan-o-cha, his successor will certainly change the reform plans, though that would be hard as another new charter would also be needed. Surya Sikatasila, Deputy Dean of Ranks at University's Social Innovation College, said reform is bearing an unwanted impact even before the election. He said the Prayut administration is paying more heed to preparations for the election, and less on reform. As we are moving toward the election, reform is losing more momentum, he said. On April 6, the government announced reform plans in 11 areas, in a 2,000-page document. It is unsure who will push those plans into practice, former NRC member Bunlut Kachayuthadet said. In another development, Constitution Drafting Committee Chairman Michai Rushupan visited 2 up-country police stations on Sunday to gather information on a police reform bill he is working on, said Kamnoon Sadasamburn, spokesman for the committee drafting the bill. Gan Prayut, meanwhile, denied he cancelled a visit to Sakyo, where he and Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen were scheduled to open a new border checkpoint, because of criticism his government is trying to lure local politicians into its fold. Hun Sen is not available this Friday, the proposed date, he said.